In the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. Wrapping love in everything. Bringing change, making it last. Join the Permaculture.
Welcome to episode 398 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and sometimes prostitutes.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, we so for race. In the VIP scans where we find our place.
Oh, good to be here with y'all. Well, here we are on all platforms, which is exceptionally rare. And the only reason we're doing it tonight is, number one, we got a programming note. And number two, this will be a really good litmus test to figure out exactly how shadow banned and how in the crosshairs we really are. Because every single time we do a podcast and put it on all platforms, every single time 30 to 50 people would be unsubscribed. I'm sure they didn't do it, but they were unsubscribed. In fact, I've had a number of people reach out and say, oh man, I thought I was subscribed. I don't know what happened. So anyway, the powers that shouldn't be definitely don't like us. Well, this episode, as always, is brought to you by the Sovereign Health Summit. That's going to be October 27th through the 31st. TPC will get you 5% off. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having to reformat in my brain. Anyway, we're going to have Barbara O'Neill there. We have online options, as well as if you want to be there in person, we'll have that as well. With the state of the world right now, we know that you're not going to get honest answers from your MD. And no, MD does not mean medical deity. So we're bringing in some of the world's best all in one place at the same time. Like I said, we have online options and we have tickets where you can be there in person. So, turn
that sick simp into a healthy pimp. Now, there's also camping available on site as well.
Yeah, son, before I'll come to that here in a minute. Azure Standard also, they're our number one sponsor. And folks, we're going to be doing a whole lot with them in the future. Man, I'm really excited about that. They are the top sponsor at the Sovereign Health Summit. So, man, I am really jazzed up about that. And because they're jazzed up about it too, they gave if you're a new customer, go to the website, put in Food for Health 15, and you'll get 15% off for any new customers on orders over $100. So we're going to have the CEO from Azure on here. Really, really awesome dude. And everybody in the whole organization, honestly, everybody I've spoken to has been top notch. And honestly, in this area where you get shrinkflation, stagflation, well, hopefully we don't get any of that. But with all this stuff going on right now, and you're looking for ways to prepare, good night. I can't think of a better way than using Azure instead of going down to Sam's Club and getting rice. I mean, think about it. If the worst should happen and you find yourself in the worst kind of way, do you want to be eating that rice that is so-called fortified from Sam's Club, or do you want to be eating the organic stuff that you got and the beans along with everything else you get from Azure? So, well, ain't much of a choice which one I'm going with. So anyway, how's it going, son?
Pretty good. Very, very windy day today here in Texas. The other day, I posted a short on my YouTube. Oh, before we get into that, Dad, we should also mention like the reason we haven't been streaming to every platform and then where people can find us. Because I noticed there's a lot of people here now that aren't there on the typical place that we stream. So if you guys are looking for us, we do this every Monday and Thursday. If you're looking for the live stream, it's going to be, for the most part, streamed to the Permaculture Pimpcast YouTube channel. That's kind of like a burner YouTube channel that we can stream to. We've tried to hit monetize on that, and it said it was a threat to society or something like that.
Yeah.
Like literally, like it's like a threat to society. So there's no chance of that being monetized at all. But we can kind of say whatever it is we're trying to say over on that YouTube channel without ruining like our main channels. So if you guys like the podcast, go ahead and subscribe to the Permaculture Pimpcast, so that way you guys can catch the live streams on Mondays and Thursdays, 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern. That's when we do the live streams. But other than that, yeah, it's been pretty good here. Insanely windy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, son.
No, it's just insanely windy today. And then the day before that, we had fog, or was it 2 days before that? We had a fog that lasted till like almost noon. I posted a short on it about it on YouTube. And then the whole comments, it's crazy. I can post a short talking about mulch and get all kinds of trash talk. I posted the short about fog smelling like exhaust lasting till about noon. And the chat is just filled with a bunch of people, or the comments is just filled with a bunch of people who are going through the exact same thing, like all over the United States.
Yeah, that's what's blowing my mind too. In fact, there was a couple of comments. And by the way, folks, if you're here live, if you would hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live so they can go ahead and start suppressing us. You know the deal. Anyway, it lets the algorithms, whatever that word means, lets everybody know, hey, we're out here and we're going live. No, it's funny because somebody mentioned, as I was kind of perusing through the comments here, there's a number of them in here, and I want to thank everybody for being in here right now. We got, let's see, I'll go through a few of them. Harry, Jensen, Amy, Kermode, Bear, Actual, okay, Abby, Sonia, okay, there's a number of them out here, Tammy, and then we got some of our usuals in here. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me. I've been posting pictures the last couple of times, and somebody mentioned it here in the chat a moment ago that I posted one today. I don't know. I try to make it light in terms of my response to it, saying, okay, hey, I'm glad the government's just putting out all these 90 essential vitamins and minerals from the clouds. Boy, they really love us. And I put out one like the day before yesterday. I'm not sure how it went down, because I go out there and it'll start off blue, and then you literally see the planes go through the sky and then make it brown or gray or whatever that is. And nobody seems to notice, but people are starting to wake up, at least to a certain extent. Now, I will tell a brief story that I did today. Okay, so I'll just jump right into the farm news. So Michelle was out there digging comfrey, and folks, if you're wanting some, I think whatever's on the website right now is going to be it for now. We're going to have rain for the next couple of days, so there ain't no digging in the rain. And I'm not sure how much is even left. So if there is some, check with us back on Monday, or you can go there now. I don't know if she has some posted or not. And people are blowing me up about bone sauce. Folks, I can't do it when it's high fire danger. So conditions got to be right. I can't set the whole mountain on fire. So, what do you tell the cops? Hey, man, I needed to make some bone sauce. People are blowing me up about it. But anyway, hopefully I'll have that stuff by next week if we get enough rain where it mitigates some of the fire danger. Anyway, check this out, man. I go to town and I'm in here building these boxes outside. This might be a little bit of what we cover today. I've been working on them for about 2 weeks, and I'm using, as I mentioned last podcast, I'm using topsoil, and then I'm filling it up with some of this garbage potting soil or whatever they have at the yards down there. I'm getting the cream of the crap, I guess you could say. I go in there and I'm wearing the very same shirt I got on right now. And it says, make mitochondria great again. It's a shirt I got from Dr. Alexis Cowan. And, you get a lot of comments on it. The girl in there, the guy, they're asking for my phone number because I'm locked into the system. And she says, oh, I love your shirt. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. And the guy says, well, what's with your 913 area code? Where's that? I said, well, it's, I didn't get a cell phone till we were living in Kansas. That's been many, many moons ago. He says, oh, okay, man, I know a guy from the USGS or the National Weather Service is what he said, that works out in Kansas. So naturally, I say to him, I said, hey, you think you can call them up right now and find out exactly why they're blacking out the sun every single day? And the same girl who said, I love your shirt, which said, make mitochondria great again, she says to me, son, I kid you not, she says, well, I kind of like that they're blocking it out. I'm like, excuse me? And she says, well, I'm light sensitive. And I said, oh, you're light sensitive. And if you were, the girl was she was very pale. And I said, well, would you like to know the reasons why? And that's exactly how I put it. I said, would you like to know the reasons why? And she looked at me with a 1,000-yard stare. Didn't say, you just commented on my shirt. Make mitochondria great again. The number one way of doing that is getting in the sun. The number one way of doing that is getting in the sun. So clearly she didn't even know what the shirt meant. I don't know what she thought, but I was like, would you like to know? And then she gave me that 1,000-yard stare. And then I said, well, let's start with these blue lights you got, right? These office lights that you have here in this office. Said, if you were to crack that door over there, you would get, I realized I was talking to a flipping drone. And I just shut up in the middle of a sentence. I said, have a nice day. Thanks a lot. And then just walked out.
She just wanted to show that she knew what the word mitochondria meant. That's all that was.
Yeah, it's like asking a hipster. It's like asking an Antifa member. And honestly, folks, go do this and it will blow your mind because I've done it numerous times. Go up to Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist, and ask any Antifa member, what is the definition of fascism? Not one of them will be able to tell you. I've done this in Texas and I've done it here in North Carolina. Not one Antifa member knows the definition of fascism. Not one, which is basically the merger of corporation and state. So, I mean, that's it in a nutshell, the way Mussolini liked it anyway. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of people in this world that are more polished than spit and more glitter than grit. So anyway, some other things on the farm news besides my little, jaunt in the town. Let's see here. I went out here filling up these boxes, and folks, that's exactly, you can go out and buy silver if you want. It's probably still, I think a year from now, we're going to find out that this was still a pretty low price. I'm not your financial expert. I'm not telling you to buy it, but even at whatever it is right now, I think $90, I think it's still a bargain based on what we know right now. Now that could all change for whatever reason, but you can also pick option B, which is also what I'm doing. I got whatever silver I intend to get, and I got the other things I intend to get. I got all the lead I need to get. I got all the brass I need to get. Of course, all of us could use more of those things. But let me tell you where a lot of us might want to consider, if you know inflation is going to go up, if you know things are going to be tight, maybe investing in one of those areas. And I'm talking about food security in a big, big way. William talks a lot about it on his channel. And we haven't been doing a whole lot of that as of late. I've been doing mostly front porch talks because I'm just been so darn busy. But think about those ways. And we're going to be covering some of that stuff, even if you're busted. If you don't have a whole lot of time or money, which is, the hardest things to come by these days, that's what we're going to talk about in this main thing. But honestly, one of the areas where I'm really, really going balls to the wall is definitely my food production, improving structures that I already had to make them even better. So maybe I'll get out there and do a full-length video on that. So we got sheep on stockpiled forage. That's another way in which you can save money. One of the big problems with most homesteaders out there is you go out there and, man, I love your work ethic. I love your intentions. I love where you want to go with this stuff. But too many times you go out there and you overpopulate, your stocking density is a little bit off. And so you never get a chance. I mean, these are mistakes we made early on. So then you find yourself on this hay habit where you have to feed hay. A lot of people are doing it, half the year or more. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. You're not going to make money doing that. You're not going to save money doing that. A lot, if you're going down to Tractor Supply to go buy your feed for your chickens, you're not saving any money. Yeah, you have the peace of mind knowing what's in your eggs, or at least as much as you possibly can. But if you intend to sell the eggs or the meat birds, you're not making any money. And we've talked about solutions. I'm going to get back into that at some point, start talking more and more about those things, because right now, things are starting to get real in a big way, and people are needing help in a big way. So if you're looking to save money, folks, that's how we cut our teeth. That's what this channel, and Williams too, has been all about, is how to feed yourself and your family with next to nothing. So we're going to have to explore every single option imaginable. In fact, every meal as of late has come either from this farm. Everything I've eaten is either coming from this farm or within a few miles of it, or maybe I've traded for something, or, for things I didn't have. Maybe, we don't do butter here, so I might want to trade for that. So there's ways in which you might want to get those, you want to get some of those things squared away, and where you're going to get some of this stuff. So other things, like I said, sheep are on stockpile forage right now, feeding a little bit of hay, but they really don't need it. It's been very warm here, t-shirt weather for the most part, notwithstanding the fact that they're dumping poison over us all day long, and everybody seems to be giving me an amen every time I point it out here. And I'm going to tell you one more thing before I pass it off to William here is if you really want to know how sweet potatoes, how sweet they can actually be, don't eat sugar for a couple of weeks. And I haven't. I mean, I haven't had any refined sugar at all. In fact, I'm going to stay off of it for indefinitely. I'll put it that way. There might be an occasion where I may come out of retirement, but for the most part, I'm staying away from any kind of white sugar, anything even close to it. I mean, when your mom did make these pies, son, she used like coconut sugar or something like that.
Yeah.
So I've not had any sugar in a while, man. I'm eating these sweet potatoes and I'm like, man, feels like somebody put honey on them or something, man. It's crazy. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to pass it on over to you, son.
Well, on that sugar note, we have a friend that makes ice cream with and it's sweetened with honey, and it's really, really good. Like she did a vanilla flavor. She did a peach flavor, a chocolate flavor, and then the vanilla flavor. The chocolate, you couldn't even tell it was sweetened with honey because chocolate is such a strong flavor. The peach one was fantastic, and then the vanilla one tasted like a vanilla honey ice cream. Like it was really strong. It's like the vanilla almost enhanced the honey flavor of it, and it was really, really good. But yeah, today spent the day building some raised beds, getting some content squared away, some permaculture design course videos. If you guys are interested in taking a permaculture design course, hit up my Patreon. You can get in for as little as $5 a month. Getting some Q&As filmed as well, some permaculture Q&As. I've started doing those again for YouTube. And then this morning, man, I hate going to the gym right at the beginning of the year. I went to the gym at first, and then I pulled up, and I'm like, nope, I'll do my errands first, and then I'll come back. And then, so I did some errands, and then I picked up about like $300 worth of seeds today. Because yesterday Emily and I went through, and my wife, we went through and kind of planned out what all we wanted to grow this year. Because even though I'm on the road a lot, I still think, like, using some automated systems, I still think we can get some, like, quite a bit of food production going here on the property. So y'all, Gardenate, GARDENATE is an awesome app if anybody's trying to take kind of the guesswork out of planting your garden, or what to start when, or like just general gardening information. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. Highly recommend that app. That's part of what we used. And then also the the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange seed catalog came in the mail the other day. So we went through there and kind of decided if we wanted to do any of those kinds of varieties, things like that. But this year I bought extra seed. I bought way more seed than what we're going to go through in a year, just to kind of have it. And then also that's a good barter item as well if you wanted. But we're going to try to save as much seed this year as well. So we're going to try to preserve whatever we don't immediately eat, and then we're going to try to save as much as we possibly can this year. So
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, somebody's asking if we lost Dad.
I'm here, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. And then other folks are asking, what about honey? What about other things? Absolutely. Yeah. We got gallons and gallons of honey, even though we give away 90% of it. I'm staying away from anything that's sweet, anything that's high glycemic in any kind of way. I'm doing something of a gut reset. I guess I can kind of talk about that. What I'm going through, I'm part of Gary Brecka's a biohacker, and I'm doing this gut reset thing, and for a whole variety of reasons. I'm not trying to go into too much detail, but I think it kind of got out of whack with, and folks, I mean, if anybody has a more fastidious compliance to clean eating than I do right now, I don't know who that is. I mean, I am like completely Johnny on the spot with it right now, but I want to see what optimal feels like. So I'm laying off of anything. Yeah, I'll eat anything but white sugar right now. I just have zero desire to have any of it. And I want to stay on this for a while, and I want to actually kind of get more, I'm going to lean more into a keto sort of ish diet through this winter, I think. because I'm trying to eat more in circadian health, things that grew here. Now, the only vegetables for the most part that I'm eating is what I can get out of my high tunnel, which every day Michelle picks a salad, and B, the fermented food that we made right here, which consists of obviously a whole lot of cabbage, carrots, beets, things like that. We were trying to ferment a lot of stuff that had a lot of color to it. So, where you get those anthocyanins. And so that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm trying to do a gut reset and try to populate my gut with some really, really good stuff because folks, I'll be honest with you, man, I am walking the talk in every single way I know how to, because the crap they're dropping from the sky. And then the interview that I did yesterday with Jeff from Mycronic Silver, I was telling him, Michelle couple of days before, I could clearly tell I was coming down with something. Man, I was putting that Mycronic Silver up both nostrils, the spray stuff, putting it in the back of my throat, and then also drinking it. I mean, I did it all, man. And it went away in record time. And then your mom came down with something, and it was always on the backs of when they spray. And so she did it, and then bam, it was gone in no time. So I'm just trying to populate my body with the best I possibly can to counteract. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The number one purpose is to counteract the junk they're poisoning us with. Yeah, just saying that right there, probably,
Yep.
They're probably upset with us,
which
as far as it shouldn't be. But anyway, the main purpose is, remember, folks, if you want to catch us live, you're going to have to do it either on Rumble or the Permapastures Farm channel.
No. The Permaculture Pimpcast channel.
What he said. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So with that said, remember, EMF rocks. Always got it on my hip right next to my whip right here. I got these bag of rocks right here, and they help to straighten up the nasty stuff in the environment that you may be getting from your computers. Like right now, I may look a little bit differently in the studio. And the reason why, we have no studio lights going on right now. I'm being hit by full spectrum lights. Okay. So I may look a little bit differently. And the computer that I'm looking at right now where we're doing this on is absolutely in the, son, what's that app we use where it takes away all the blue light?
It's called Iris, IRIS, and there's a bunch of different filters you can pick. And I was going to say, Dad, like, you do look like darker with this lighting.
Yeah, and it's just going to have to be that way because I'm finding out that if I'm in here taking in this blue light, which, by the way, folks, if you're using, I covered this before, but I'm going to cover it again. If you're being bombarded, if your body is being hit by blue light past the midday, it's sending you got these receptors all over your body and especially in your eyes that are giving your body mixed signals. So we have eliminated all the compact fluorescent bulbs and all the others around here. And now we have incandescent, which you'd have better luck finding in Bin Laden than finding incandescents right now.
Yeah, we were on a wait list. We finally got them in the mail now, but we were on a wait list for 60-watt incandescent bulbs.
Yeah, so that's exactly where I'm at right now. So that's the way I'm going to have to roll. I can't make myself sick by doing this stuff. And I'm finding out that when I do get mixed up with blue light after a certain period of time, it's not doing well with my sleep. So that's part of it as well. So anyway, when you got to be around that stuff, EMF rocks. Remember, I had Dr. Franson on here a little while back. We love the product so much, we ordered a bunch for you guys. And how's it working out? Still using them?
Yeah, they're awesome. They're outside grounding right now because we got rain forecasted in the next couple days. So, yeah, we're out there having them ground right now. Yeah, they're fantastic. They definitely make a difference when it comes to sleep. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely sucking up some of that nasty stuff. But turn off your routers at night, folks. That's another thing, too. Unplug that thing. Unplug your TVs. If I went through with an RF meter, and I'm telling you, the TV is almost as bad as a router, so you need to leave that thing unplugged. You ought not to be watching it anyway. And if you do, I got some hacks that can honestly mitigate a lot of this stuff. Nancy says, okay, so Nancy, I'm going to tell you what I did. She says she could only find 40-watt incandescent bulbs, and I want 60s. Yeah, me too. Here's what I had to do. I had to buy the refrigerator bulbs and put them in everything. That was the only incandescents I could find locally. And online, good luck. I mean, I tried ordering them and they never did come through. I mean, total ripoff. So that's exactly what I've been using. And they work pretty well on a dimmer as well. So I got them there. You can spend a lot of money and get Nera bulbs. I liked them at first and now not so much. I'm not a big fan of them anymore. They seem to not, they get dim at different rates. It's odd. It's weird. I mean, they're better for you supposedly, but I'm going back to old fashioned incandescent, man. Forget a bunch of that. And I'll put them on a dimmer. And then when it gets dark, you know, you want to dim everything down. You want to set your body clock and say, hey, it's time for us to start chilling out. All right. Other thing, everybody's been asking about these blue light blocking glasses. Same with Williams. Bond charge, BON charge, bond, two separate words, bond charge. 15% off with promo code PERMA. They'll get you squared away. And that's why we're not wearing these glasses to look hip, y'all. I'm wearing them for strategic reasons, for health reasons. That's exactly why I'm doing them. So, you know, they got yellow pairs where you can wear like midday, so where it blocks off some of the blue. And then you got the reds like I got and William has where it takes out all of the blue. So, and then I even came up with a little hack for the TV. So for anybody that's interested out there. All right. With that said, let's go into the good news here. All right. Check this one out, y'all. I was happy as a puppy with two Peters when I heard about this one, man. So Kennedy, man, I've been dogging this guy up one side and down the other. I'm talking about Bobby Kennedy. And he deserved every single bit of it. But you know what? If you do something good, man, I'm going to give you props for that. So he declares war on processed foods and flips the federal food pyramid upside down. That's exactly, son. Have you heard about that?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, man. I was absolutely giddy because I'm like, okay, finally he did something. Getting rid of red dye 40 ain't really moving the needle much. And to be honest with you, flipping the food pyramid ain't really doing much for people like me and you who already knew this stuff. But for a whole lot of people out there that take their guidance from the powers that shouldn't be at the government, this is going to make a big difference. And I'm hoping also in schools, this garbage that they're feeding these kids, maybe it'll change some of that around too. Man, and then honestly, I got a person hopefully coming on very soon talking about what they feed soldiers. It will absolutely floor you, folks. It's worse than what they feed inmates. I kid you not. And so now that they flipped this food pyramid on top where the good stuff that should be good stuff is on top, I wonder how that's going to work out. Because if you read Mark Sisson's work from, what was that book he wrote? The Primal Blueprint. If you read the Primal Blueprint, you figure out really, really quick. And he's not the first to talk about it, but in a nutshell, the whole reason that food pyramid is orchestrated the way it was for all of these years, folks, I know a lot of you won't be surprised, but the number one reason was based on who greased the palms of the politicians the most. So the grain lobby, yeah, they were number one. And then you could basically go all the way up that pyramid, the way it was set up, based on how much money was contributed to politicians. That is the this is the country we live in right now, folks. I mean, this is Rome right before the collapse. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could very well be in the collapse, but you know what? I mean, I was absolutely giddy when I heard about that. So that's a good start. I will come down like a ton of bricks on the Trump administration when they deserve it, and they deserve a lot of it as of late. And I'll give you props where it's needed, but you ain't getting them for Venezuela. Anyway, next good news. Childhood crisis. How modern life is wiring kids for anxiety. Okay, this kind of hits on some of what we just spoke about, son, where in this article, I'm just kind of giving you guys the cliff notes here. When you look at the foods that these kids are eating, it'll absolutely blow your mind. I did a little bit of research. Check this out. How much sugar do you think? How much sugar do you think the average American ate back in 1826? Give me your best guess, son.
I would say
a year.
Per year, I would say less than a pound.
No, it was actually, if you add it all up, number one, they weren't eating any processed sugars.
Yeah.
They were eating things like sorghum, molasses, and honey, things like that, sweet grasses, things like that. So if you were to add it all up from all those sources, from 200 years ago, the human body in America would get 5 pounds at the most per year. Do you know what the average is for? And we're talking about these kids that are being messed up right now. I'll cover blue light and stuff here in a minute, but what do you think the average American eats right now in terms of how many pounds they eat per year now?
I would say maybe close to 100 if you just factor in sodas alone. I would say probably close to 100 pounds.
Yep. Some folks are saying 50 pounds. No. So we went 200 years ago, the average American would eat 5 pounds at the most, and that was if you were wealthy. Now it's anywhere between 150 to 170 pounds per year per person in the
Wow.
United States of amnesia. Our bodies are not made for this. They were never made for this. And then going back to this article, that's exactly what they chronicle in here, is that it's the processed food that they're eating. Okay, that's number one. Number two, well, actually, number one is the blue light that they're around all day. They don't have books that they bring home. They're not reading those books under incandescent lights anymore. They're bathed in blue light from dawn till dusk. And the computers, even though, unless you get a daylight computer, if you have a computer out there, like William said a minute ago, you got to get F-Flux or Iris software to put on these computers in order to remove the blue light from it. I'm looking at you guys right now everything looks red to me.
Same.
Everything looks red. And you know what? Thank God for that. I mean, I'm now the other thing you got to watch out for too are these cameras. They're shooting lasers back in your eyes as well. So you got to be mindful of that. But I got to use the camera to be able to talk to everybody right now, or at least so you can see me. So from 5 pounds to right now to about 170 pounds per person per year. Anyway, long story short, get the kids outside, ground them. Take them out of these schools if you can do it at all. Get them outside as often as possible. Change out all the incandescent lights and get them off these doggone computers, especially when the sun goes down. And if they got to use them, think about the software we were just talking about, or go buy a blue light or a daylight computer. All right. So number 3, good one. Okay. It's funny because I came across this article on Natural News and it talked about skipping on sleep inflicts lasting damage on metabolic health. So Gary Brecka, biohacker, was just talking about this very same thing. So many people brag about how little sleep they're able to get and still function. No, you can't. You can't do that. And then it's also a high indication of how little sleep you're getting as to whether or not you're going to wind up with dementia on down the road. So, folks, you got to be thinking about your sleep hygiene. And that's something I'm really trying to get better at myself. It's always been a very hard sticking point for me. I'm up at I'm up maybe an hour or more. No, actually about an hour and a half before the sun even comes up. So going to bed on time is very important, or trying to. So if you got to, first of all, you can't be looking at a blue screen and then expect to go right to sleep in most cases, because those blue screens, remember, it is triggering your body to say, oh, it's midday. You need to be alert. Okay. So you got to be thinking about these things. So anyway, skipping on sleep, y'all, is something you should not do. Some guys I know look at this as some kind of badge of honor. Well, I'm able to do just fine on 5 hours of sleep. Yeah. Well, Ronald Reagan said that, and Margaret Thatcher said that, and both of them went to an earlier grave than they probably would have had they had better sleep hygiene. So be thinking about those things right there. All right. So with that said, I would go into Eric Sider, but Eric is he's going at 100 miles an hour himself, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So anyway, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. We live in a crazy place, and remember, the number one threat to your life isn't necessarily an EMP. I mean, your number one threat out there is going to be a lightning strike, whether it hits you directly or downstream, but anything that hits your house and fries anything inside, well, that's on you. But if you got an EMP shield on your house, anything gets Kentucky Fried downstream, they're going to cover you for 25 G's. So go check them out. EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. So let's just jump right into this.
Well, hold on. Let me address some of the questions in the comments real quick. One of them is from Solar Storm Games. He said, "William, how hard is it finding good books to homeschool a child, K through 12, or will you throw your child into the meat grinder known as public schools?" Absolutely not. The only time my daughter's going to see a public school is when we drive by and say, "Hey, this is someplace
See
you'll
that
never
prison?
have." Yeah, see that prison? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the homeschooling curriculum that she's going to learn just through osmosis, just from being around me, being around my wife Emily. She's going to learn a lot of it that way. I mean, there's still things that we're going to intentionally have to teach her and everything. But right now she's 2 and she's like recognizing words. I don't want to call it necessarily reading just yet, but I think it's pattern recognition where she's recognizing like these words in this order means this. So I mean, she's doing stuff like, and it's part of it could be because a girl, and they just tend to, or I've been told that they just tend to develop faster than boys do. But she's doing stuff beyond her age, and I know everybody says it around about their kid, but I think that's also the potential of every kid. I think all these kids have way higher potential than what the slowed down, dumbed down public education has to offer. One awesome resource. I don't know if you're asking for yourself or if you're just curious, but one awesome resource is John Taylor Gatto. My wife is going through one of his books right now. And if you were on the fence about, public school system beforehand, that book will completely pull you into the homeschool side. There was another question. I believe that was from I think it was from Sanja or Solar Farm, asking what I was going to do with my moringa. So I bought 10 pounds of moringa. I don't plan on starting a full-blown nursery and selling them as a whole plant. I was going to split them up and then sell them as seeds, because every time I do a moringa video, people are always in the comment section like, "Hey, where do you buy your moringa?" Right now I'm doing a germination test first, so that way I can give you guys the germination percentage before I send them out to you guys. I'm actually about to mail tomorrow. I'll be mailing some out to our friend Eric Sider. But yeah, that was the reason I got 10 pounds, was so I could also supply everybody who's asking, "Hey, where do I get these moringa seeds with known germination rates?" Because it's always sketchy buying like tropical seeds online. I bought seeds for a bunch of trees from like trees.com or something like that years ago. I'm still waiting on that order. I still haven't heard anything from those people. And then Zegli also asked, "Have you guys heard of Nature's Lost Vault on YouTube?" Yeah. And that's one of those YouTube channels that's talking about the benefits of particular plants and everything and why they've been hidden. My only gripe with it is that it's like 100% AI channel.
Yeah.
That's so, because it's AI and it ain't a human, I'm taking content from them. I'm getting, just looking at how quickly this channel has grown, and it being an AI channel, it hurts that inner pimp that's like, this AI channel is out here educating these people. So I'm going to give it a human slant. I'm going to I'm not going to just steal all the information and then put it under my channel, but I'm going to talk about some of the plants that they talk about with a human person, like an actual human talking about these plants and giving the information. Also, I'm going to be able to say things that this AI is not going to be allowed to say, especially depending on which AI program that they're using. There's certain things you can't get Chat GPT to say. There's certain things you can't get it to answer, but I can. So that's what's going on with me.
Yeah, but that's also here's where this, I understand AI can be a dangerous servant or a fearful master, depending on how you use it. In this particular case, AI has it's an AI channel, and yeah, definitely it's pointing out some good stuff, but folks, I wouldn't take it as gospel. I mean, like Joel Salatin often says, you can't Google experience. You can't. So, I mean, can AI tell me what this thing smells like? Can it tell me little nuanced things that only a human would know about? So consider that as well. I mean, these things are really good tools for, whatever you use them for. I get that. But honestly, there's going to be a whole lot of white collar jobs that ain't around no more, probably within a year. So be thinking, this is why for the longest time we've been focusing on making sure you got yourself together to where, okay, let's say you're down to your last inch of skin in terms of money. Well, if you can still feed yourself, man, these things are really, really good sources. But yeah, I agree with Bill. There is some really good stuff out there on that channel.
Yeah.
And it's blowing my mind that it's all AI, which goes to show you, I mean, we're building our own prisons here in so many different ways. Also regarding what, there was a couple of comments in there regarding education. Folks, I'm going to tell you once again, and I know a lot of you already agree out there. Look, man, I got a college education, military education, trade education, and a farm education. And the one thing that did not improve my life at all is the college education. Okay. And the same with Michelle. I mean, yeah, did I get a few things out of it? Yeah, but not anything I couldn't have gotten for late fees at the public library. I mean, there's nothing I learned there that I could not have learned myself. I am an autodidact. I taught my son to be an autodidact. He's teaching my grandbaby to be an autodidact. And and Doug Casey, man, there's a book out there that he wrote. I have got to get it. Son, I'm going to encourage you to get it.
Okay.
And it's his model. Doug Casey's he's called the international man. I mean, he's been to probably every country on the planet. And one of his biggest claims to fame is this book that he wrote, and I need to get it, and I don't recall the name of it, but he's talking about the things that make where you can raise a child or a boy or girl, doesn't matter, to be a Renaissance person. And what it came down to in a nutshell, from what I remember of it, because I've only read the synopsis of it, is that number one, they're going to learn a trade, some kind of trade. It doesn't even matter. And they don't even have to go through all 5 years of apprenticeship like I had to do. They're going to learn how to fight. And that could be through jujitsu or, combat arms. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to go to the military to get any of this stuff. In fact, you're going to get even better training out there in so many of these things. He has 5 different metrics that every child should learn to make them basically impervious to everything that's happening through this government. And I thought it was fantastic. I still need to get that book.
Is it called The Preparation? How to become competent, confident, and dangerous? Yep,
that's it. Yeah, so Doug Casey, yeah, you want to check that out. So I haven't even read the book, man. I rarely recommend, but I'm well aware. I've been a fan of Doug Casey for years. I'm well aware of his work. When he came out with this, and I think he wrote it with his son, I thought, man, I can't believe I didn't do this, because you're going to realize when you talk about what he's talking about in this book, it's exactly the education I got. And there's some things out there that I still want to do, but we'll come back to that another time. All right. Like I said, we don't have anything from Eric right now. We're going to get right into it, folks, because I know folks are really having a tough time right now. And hopefully I get back into producing more visual content to show you exactly what we're doing here and how that might help you as well. But William's doing a fair piece of it right now on his channel. So I wanted to cover the 10 permaculture solutions for people with no time or money, or a little bit of money. As usual, I'll come up with 5. Well, actually, I came up with all 10, and William, we'll just do 5 and 5. I just came up with more.
Yeah.
And believe me, folks, this is a hard list to make, but they're important lists to make. So I'll kick it off as usual, I guess. Stack functions with what you already do. I mean, compost where you walk. Grow herbs where you cook. I mean, what am I saying? Put things in the proper zone, okay? Put them you don't put your kitchen garden a kilometer away from your house. And one of the big problems that we run into when you look at how people lay out their farms, it's the biggest thing the biggest nightmare I would imagine for a consultant like William is when you get up to a place and the person says, well, I feel like the garden should go over there. And then you ask them why, and I just feel it. Okay, well, if you're saying you just feel it, then I can't work with those people. I don't have the patience, which is exactly why I don't do consultations. If you tell me something like that, I don't care what you're paying me. I'm on the first thing smoking. Folks, you have any idea how much money I've left on the table? Because I will not work with a person that does anything exclusively on the basis of feel. There are things in your life where you want to do that, but designing your farm is not one of them. So stack functions with what you already do. Put your chickens in somewhat close proximity to your gardens. Put things where they belong and where they complement one another. Otherwise, you're going to make life a living hell, and you're going to hate farming in no time at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, on that note, whenever people bring that up, I just give them the reality of it. It's like, okay, putting your garden in zone 5, you will just eventually burn out and quit. Like none of us are getting younger. It's going to get harder as you get older. Yeah, I just give them the reality of it. It's still up to them. It's still up to their decision. My job, the way I view like the consultations, it's my job to relay the information to you. It's not my job to hold your hand and make sure you're following the plan. That's how I view it. But the first point I had was education. There's nothing that's going to save you more time and money, in my opinion, than an education. And you can either earn it or you can buy it. You can buy it via a consultation and use somebody else's education to lay out your farm for you. Or you can earn it in taking, just earning the education yourself by reading books, by volunteering and gaining experience. But if you're low on time, that's going to be kind of slow. You can do audiobooks and gain a lot of education that way as well. Couple of books to definitely check out. The Permaculture Design Manual. I got it sitting right next to me, open in the soil section. Another one would be like a Gaia's Garden. The One Straw Revolution would be another one. So Will Staves asked, like, hey, are we twins? No, that's my dad. that's my dad. But yeah, education, that's going to save you the most time, effort, and money, in my opinion.
No, I think that's good stuff right there. And Steve, thanks for getting me straight on that. Doug, he wrote Doug's business partner wrote it with his son. Yeah, I'm glad he pointed that out. I for some reason I thought it was Doug Casey talking about it. But yeah, good stuff out there. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Thanks a lot, buddy. Here's another big one here. When you got, man, I'm just going to break this one down. Perennials over annuals, if you can possibly do it, folks. You plant once, you harvest for years. Fruit trees, berries, herbs, perennial greens. I mean, you name it. They keep coming back every season. Now, are you going to get the same productivity as you are with an annual garden? Probably not, depending on what it is. But remember, we're coming up with a list for people that don't have the time or money. Let's say you're working a 9 to 5, or maybe it's a little bit longer than that. Maybe you had to pick up a second job because of the way things are right now. But of course, I mean, I've got to be making this up because there's no inflation, right? That's what we're told anyway. But okay, jokes aside, perennials over annuals on just about everything you can do, folks. We've been making that transition for a while. I'm a big fan. In fact, Steven here, my man, the Blueberry King himself. I mean, you plant this stuff and then you get your doggone harvest. I mean, it's passive food production in a big way. And you could also put in there knowing how to wild forage for a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I remember watching a documentary once where these old farmers were tripping over the fact that people in California were spending a fortune to buy lamb's quarters. They were like, what? You spray to okay. We'll give it to you. But yeah, there's a whole lot of really awesome edible stuff out there. People spraying dandelions, man, get out there and eat them. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. But you just got to get away from, for the longest time, people were just following what everybody else was doing, and everybody does an annual crop. Yeah, I like annuals just like everybody else, but perennials got to have a space as well, because like right now, I don't have a whole lot of disposable time. I'm putting a lot of time into this Sovereign Health Summit that we're putting together, and we want this to be the best health festival you've ever seen before. We want it to be the very, very best. So we're putting a lot into it, which means something's got to give. Well, if I got a lot of annuals out there I got to deal with, well, something's not getting done. So that's my take right there. Back to you, buddy.
Brian Stevens was asking thoughts on Good King Henry. I'll actually be doing one of those Nature's Lost Vault style videos on Good King Henry. So I'll break that down for you. But on the same note that you were talking about with perennials, I had written down specifically perennials in your area that you can go and propagate yourself. So like where you live, there's a lot of native blueberries that you can go propagate yourself that you already know does well in that area. Here, I've got a bunch of persimmons that I can go propagate myself. They're the stringent native kinds and stuff, but that's still fine. I can also propagate a bunch of pecans here. There's pecans around here like crazy. Like there's just trying to like spice bush. That's another one. That's a peppercorn alternative for North America that's native here. Caffeine alternative, Yopon holly. That's the only North American caffeine producing plant here. But try to find out like what's local to your area. Try to go identify it and then take cuttings off of it and propagate it that way. You can do a lot of the education and the kind of like plot picking out like where they might be as you're on the way to, let's say, your job, or as you're on the way to some other location. So that you can save time that way, and then you're saving money by propagating what's already growing in your area. Or if you have an orchard nearby, or if you know somebody who grows some fruit trees, just go ask them if you can take some cuttings. Keep in mind, some of them are going to be grafted, so you might have to buy some rootstock. Or another option is, let's say somebody has like a new orchard, right? And one of the maintenance things that you're gonna have to do with a new orchard is that you're gonna have to trim the suckers, the stuff that's growing below the graft union, which is going to be the rootstock. You could go offer free maintenance for their orchard if you can spare the time, and then ask them in exchange for like this maintenance on the orchard. I'll do your pruning, I'll do your I'll mulch for you, I'll do whatever. You ask if you can take cuttings of both the rootstock and the scion wood, which is what's growing above the rootstock, that graft union right there. And then you can have a full-blown free orchard that you traded just a little bit of time and maintenance for.
Yeah, to that point as well, I would also suggest right in there, because I'm not going to have enough time to tell you everything I'm thinking about, like guerrilla gardening. I told this story, I think, on YouTube, where I was out there doing video on guerrilla gardening, and I was approached by this guy, had his dog out there. I'm over there playing. I didn't know it at the time. I'm on his property, which I thought I was on easement that nobody was really paying attention to. And I'm out there planting sweet potato slips. He comes up, he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm minding my own business." "What are you doing?" Because I mean, the way he said it, he says, "Well, you're on my property." I said, "Well, it looks like easement to me, Jack." And he says, "Well, yeah, technically it is, but all the rest of this." And so I thought he was just being a jerk at first. So here's what, long story short, because I sat there, talked to this guy, made him laugh a little bit, and told him what I had planned. Not only that, he offered the entire acre that was over there, that was his property, says I could do anything I wanted with it. And then if I could make good on that, then he would offer me another, I want to say it was another 5 acres right there in the Asheville proper that he owned as well. I mean, folks, you can't beat that with a stick. Back when in Texas, I started off guerrilla gardening around a construction site. Okay, I was working as an electrician. They saw what I was doing. The people at the parole office, which was kind of handy because half the guys I worked with had to go there anyway, that was right next door. They were like, "Man, we got 5 acres over here. You want to mess with it?" And then my boss had another 30 acres adjacent to the property I was working with. Had I stayed there, man, I'd have had cows, pigs, chickens, all of it. I was running chickens out there, but all of it just given to me. Folks, these opportunities exist. You just got to go out there and you got to work for it. You don't have to own the land. You just got to control it. And then you kick them back a little bit. Okay, so let's just say I spent $50 a piece for a bunch of piglets out there. And then all I got to do is hand him back one when I'm feeding those pigs for free anyhow. Or let's say I'm running cows out there. It doesn't even matter, folks. This is like getting money from home without writing. All right. Number 3 for me is going to be mulch instead of weeding. Look, remember, we're talking about things for people with limited time and very limited money. I told y'all I don't weed anything. And I'm deadly serious. I don't weed anything. I sheep. Yep. I don't weed. There's 2 things in this world I would rather be tortured than do. And that's, one is paint. I hate painting. And number 2 is weeding. So I'm just going to cover it up. I'm going to chop and drop everything out there, and I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to sheet mulch on top of it. So what's that involve? Like cardboard, depending on how you do it, cardboard, leaves. You could put a cover crop out there, the whole 9 yards. I mean, there's so many different ways of going about this where you can make this thing as laissez-faire as possible. Doing it in straw bales, hay bales, whatever you got out there. Who cares? I'm going to compost all of it anyway. So I don't understand when I see a lot of these other gardening channels doing it the way I'm like, okay, that's good for those so inclined. But man, I'm going about this the way I'm going about it. I ain't weeding nothing. Okay. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to do my thing. So mulch instead of weeding, that's how I roll.
The next one I have is so on the note of weeds, yeah, don't if let's say you don't have time to cover crop or not cover crop, let's say you don't have the time to chop and drop and you don't have the time to pull weeds or anything like that. Just leave them. There is no competition. If your soil is alive, there is no competition for nutrients. The only time you should be concerned with weeds is if they're overshadowing. The competition is for sunlight. The only time you should have you have concern for weeds is if they're if they're blocking out the sun for the preferable plants that you want to take care of. So if you're planting, you could do plant rows wide enough so where you can run either a mower or weed eater down that run and knock down weeds if they're getting taller than your preferable plants. But you don't have to get rid of the weeds. Most of the reason people get rid of weeds is for aesthetic reasons. If you look at the edge of a forest, you see polyculture over there, a bunch of different stuff all growing. And they're all growing literally right next to each other. That shows you that there's no competition for nutrients. The only competition is for sunlight, which is also why you have such a thick polyculture on the edge of a forest, is because it's where sunlight is interacting with that forest. It's an edge. It's called the edge effect. But you can also use the edge effect to your advantage as well. If you have limited time and resources and time, resources, and money, plant your garden on the edges of your property. If you plant it on the edges, there's a lot of stuff that's going to naturally happen. There's going to be a lot of natural collection that's going to occur just on that edge right there that you won't have to worry about. You won't have to worry about mulching, especially if you put your trees on the edge of a property. You won't have to worry about mulching. The leaves are going to naturally collect there in the fall. You won't have to worry about fertilization. The birds are always going to perch up on that fence. They're always going to poop on the ground right there. That's going to be passive fertilization. So yeah, using and this also ties back into the education. Getting your education squared away first will make sure you know this information as far as design of your growing systems later on, which also comes with experience as well. But on to yours, Dad.
No, there was something I was going to add to what you just said there, man. It was anyway,
edges, sunlight.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I tell people to go read the One Straw Revolution by Fukuoka. If you look at how he did it, there was no weeding involved in any of that. He just so basically and I'm simplifying it in a nutshell, but I recommend everybody read that book. It's a small read. It's a wonderful read. It's a very, very entertaining and beautiful read. Beautiful written prose, even though it's translated from Japanese. Imagine you got a whole field full of, let's just say it's clover. All he would do is they would go out there in the field, remove the clover, put in what they wanted to plant in its place, and leave the rest of the clover around there. I mean, that's exactly what you described there, but in your own kind of way. So yeah, folks, there are ways. Going out there plowing everything with a rototiller, man, that's the worst thing in the world. With what we know now, a forest rises on a new forest rises on an old forest. Okay, Permaculture 101. Well, why can't a garden do the same thing? It's a just look at it at a macro level. At a micro level. Imagine a forest that nobody waters, nobody does anything with. Well, why don't we take that same approach to our gardens? I don't understand it. Look, y'all want to go out there and you want to do a bunch of weeding and carrying on? Forget a bunch of that. Homie ain't having it.
Hey, real quick. Could you answer, Will Staves asked, I thought they competed for nutrients too. Do you mind answering, or I can, whoever, do you mind answering why there is no competition for nutrients or anything?
No, in a right system, I mean, that's our Western reductionistic worldview coming in the view right there. And Stefan Subkowiak, who, by the way, is going to be here in a couple of weeks, he's actually coming to visit me, which I'm looking forward to. He explains that even in the permaculture designer's manual, when you go out in the forest, what do you see? You see all 7 layers of a forest. You see an overstory, an understory, a shrub, vine, layer, all these different, you got 7, really 8 layers, and some would even argue maybe 8.5 or 9. That's not the point. The same thing that applies out in that forest is the same thing that applies in your garden as well. You can have an overstory, but at a micro level, overstory, understory, all these things. Yeah, everybody believes that, but then when they come out there and see what we're doing in the orchard, they're like, hold on, man, you can put your blueberries this close? You can put your comfrey this close? It's looking like they're all stacked on top of one another. No, this is reductionistic thinking that they've created for all of us to believe that everything has to have this perfect spacing. Man, forget that. I don't even know how many times I've gone out when we would have pigs and I would just throw a handful of whatever seeds I wanted. And whatever comes up, comes up. Didn't care. Didn't matter. I mean, these were free seeds that I had, let's say, with their Trombocino seeds. I didn't care. Or whatever came out to the back end of those pigs or whatever the case, or chickens even. You'd be shocked at where you can grow this stuff. And spacing isn't as big a deal as a lot of people want to let on. You know, if that's your concern. And now to say, okay, so let's say we go out here and we grow some brassicas. Let's say it's going to be broccoli out here. And yeah, we'll initially, because we got such a deep medium, we're going to tighten up the spacing a little bit because now the roots can go down and do what they need to do. But if you got a hard pan, you know, a foot down, well, you're going to have to change things up, nephew. So you can do a lot of things just by knowing the medium, and it's going to take some practice too. You're not going to be a pro overnight. All right, so I'm going to tell you also, I would plant for calories first. What do I mean by that? Okay, well, I told everybody that every single day I go out here, or Michelle does, and she picks a salad out of the high tunnel every single day. I eat something off the farm every single day. So, and I'll eat that for 2, maybe 3 meals a day, along with some other things as well. Obviously, you know, I'm not a vegan, not at all. But anyway, think about some of those other things that you can put back and hold for a while, especially in these times, things that stick to your ribs. Lettuce don't stick to your ribs, man, even for a vegan. But you know what does? Potatoes, sweet potatoes. There's a bunch of other tubers out there you can do. Beans, squash, things that have a high return and low babysitting is what I'm trying to get at. So if you have very little time, once you get these guys off and running, yeah, they're kind of doing their own thing, you know, but when you get that crop, it's not only a crop that you have, depending on what varieties you have, they store for a long, long time, a lot of these things. So you want to be thinking about those as well. So I would say you got limited time, limited money, plant for calories, and don't go overboard and start getting some exotic stuff out there, man. Get what works for your environment.
Yeah. The next thing I would say is cover crops. Cover crops take a lot of the maintenance away. So like if you are somebody who's going to go out there and weed, just pick the weeds, pick a low growing cover crop. Also, cover crops are going to eliminate the need of constant watering. They're also going to like passively feed the soil microbes, which is another reason that nutrients aren't there is no competition for nutrients. Is that if you have a live soil, your microbes, it's an on-demand system for nutrients between the microbes and the plant. And then what cover crops do is just ensure that the microbes are never going without, that they're constantly being fed, and then they're constantly being able to improve and reproduce and, you know, things like that. Cover crops are also going to help retain moisture. So that's less watering that you're going to have to do. Was it last summer or the summer before? I think it was the summer before last. I live in East Texas, where we have guaranteed drought every single summer. All the rain we got last year, East Texas got last year, it all went around DeKalb. None of it got to DeKalb, so we didn't get any of that benefit. I planted in sweet potato slips. I believe it was in May. It was after Easter for sure. But I planted in sweet potato slips. I watered everything in, and then that was the last time I watered those sweet potatoes, completely abandoned them, and then had a fantastic harvest 120 days later. Fantastic harvest. And the only thing I did to remediate that soil over there was make sure I had a cover crop in. The Shield Maiden from Christ asked if I got her cover crop question. I did not, but like just think like a easy rule to follow as far as cover crops go. If it's going into cold weather, stick to clovers. If you're going into warm weather, stick to, I mean, there's some heat tolerant clovers and stuff, but stick to like more heat tolerant clovers, not Texas heat tolerant clovers, but stick to like cowpea and buckwheat. Keep in mind that cowpea and buckwheat will both get tall. So there's a little bit more maintenance you have to do there, but you can easily do low growing clovers through the winter. And they'll bleed a little bit into the summer as well. Go ahead.
Well,
Dan.
son, to your point, I mean, you just led me perfectly into my point. You talked about cowpea and what was it?
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat. All right. So, folks, that brings me to my last point. Let animals do the work whenever possible. So, let's say you got cowpea and buckwheat out there. Sheep will absolutely decimate that stuff. So, let's say you want to get rid of it. You just converted that cover crop into valuable manure, and they're not going to eat it, depending on how you graze, they're not going to eat it plumb down to the soil, but they just opened it up for you to do other things in there. So, I mean, that's exactly the case. I mean, obviously, chickens scratch, they fertilize. I mean, they'll eat food scraps. I mean, even rabbits and quail, you pick the animal, I guarantee they got a legitimate job that's going to take work out of your hands. Just like the great Sepp Holzer says, there was some lunatic weirdo vegan out there when he was doing a he was out in Montana doing a course on hugelkultur or something like it. I can't remember. And he was talking about how you leverage your animals to do a lot of this work. And she had the audacity to say to this man, well, that sounds an awful lot like slavery. And he says, okay, I agree with you. Now you go out there and do the work. And then, of course, she shut up, because now she's singing a different tune. Now, either the animal you can either exploit the pigness of the pig, the chickenness of the chicken, the cowness of the cow, the sheepness of the sheep. Pick your animal. You can exploit that and have them eat that cover crop, or, frankly, in the cowpeas and stuff like that, you could actually eat it. I mean, the buckwheat, you can actually eat it. I mean, these are things, okay, you could go out there and take a piece of that harvest, and then you can give the rest of it to your animals. And depending on where you are, some of those things could even be perennial to a certain extent. So you could even let it go to seed and fall down. And in places like Texas and some others, I have seen cowpea and buckwheat actually come back. But yeah, let your animals do the work. If you got an area that you're looking to do, I mean, why sit there and have them every single time, every blade of grass that animal eats instead of not a combine, but a mower, every blade that they eat, their mouth offers something of a cauterizing agent, if you will, for that plant. They're going to grow back more robust every single time an animal eats it, as opposed to a mechanical means cutting it. Every single time. In fact, that's why people like Ian Mitchell Ennis in South Africa says, every blade of grass that a ruminant eats, you can count on 2 of them coming back in addition to the one it ate. So that's kind of hard to beat. So use those animals in big time leverage, but use them responsibly. I'd rather be understocked than too much stock.
Yeah. So she was asking, Shield Man for Christ was asking, does Phacelia help the soil as a cover crop? I would say yeah, but it's not one of those ones that I would interplant with my regular crops just because of its height and it's going to block out the sun again. It's one of those ones that I would terminate and then plant and use it, basically just chop and drop with it. It's also, but it will help the soil. In fact, I mean, there's not too many plants that I know of that won't benefit the soil to some extent. If they're doing photosynthesis and they're shooting down sugars into the soil for the microbes, then yeah, they're going to definitely benefit the soil just by nature of improving, just by nature of feeding the microbes and stuff like that. But the next one I would say is like, stop leaving, just in general, a general rule to follow is stop leaving the soil bare. All that's going to do is just guarantee you have to put in more time and effort into your garden if you leave the soil bare. You're going to have like worse and worse effects, just as a general rule. You're going to have like worse outcomes year after year after year. It might look good and work just fine the first year, but you're kind of robbing the later generations or the later years, and you're also benefiting from the previous years where that soil wasn't covered up with either a mulch, with either cover crop, living systems, whatever it may be. Just stop leaving the soil bare. And if it's bare, it should only be for a very, very temporary time, so that way you can like either get seeds in. Let's say it's hard and compacted. Well, it might make sense to break it up just a little bit and then get some seeds in to occupy that space before it gets recompacted. And then also earthworks, like put your garden in a way where it captures nutrients or inputs passively. Like you can set up your garden. Let's say you're doing an in-ground garden, put it on contour so that way it passively harvests water and forces it to soak into the raised beds. Or, like I said earlier, put it on the edge of a system so that way it naturally accumulates nutrients that way. Just think of ways where you can arrange your garden so that way it's going to passively accumulate nutrients or inputs that it needs.
Somebody, who was it here? Yeah, Colleen says, would chicory be a good cover crop? Yeah, I mean, but folks, please understand what I'm conveying, and I think William as well. I don't ever put in a cover crop of a single thing ever. And plus, chicory is going to grow a little bit tall, but I tell you what, I mean, I love it in so many different ways. I'd never put any, for example, like my winter mix that I have out here right now. It consists of, and these are the things I can remember. I was just writing them down as William was finishing up there. It's got 2 types of clover, I think. I got winter peas. What else do I have in there? Daikon radish. I always use daikon radish or some kind of tillage radish or whatever. Number one, it is edible, but it's also, if you have any hope, if there's any compaction down there, they will absolutely bust it apart. That's one cool thing about these radishes. So I'll have the oats, I'll have the radish, I'll have the clover. You can buy mixes in a lot of these places. So that's the way I choose to do it, not buy them in 50-pound bags. So that's the cheapest way to go about it. So I spend $100. No, I don't even think it's that much. I think maybe I might spend $80 for a 50-pound bag. And that's to cover everything and then still have a ton left over. And trust me, y'all, I am going in there heavily. You can go out there and try to source each seed individually, but man, I'm not with that. I'll let somebody else do all that. My time is a little more, excuse me, a little more valuable to me. But yeah, I'll put all those things out there. So we got all of it working synergistically. So I'm never going to put one thing out there, but yeah, chicory, I love it. And plus, it's really good. It's really, really good. And it's one of those things that has a taproot that'll kick down in the deeper horizons into your soil. So chicory is also a good thing for that. Plus, there's a bunch of your bees are going to love it. All your pollinators are going to love it. Everything's going to love it out there. Man, there's a bunch more I could put in here. But, I mean, in a nutshell, I'll just kind of wrap it up here with what I have, what I didn't cover. Use kitchen scraps. Start with containers you already own. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy a bunch of pots. Man, if you got some stuff laying around, use it. Who cares if you got to put it in pots? Like I said, calories, I covered that. Water, harvest water passively. That's another good way of doing it. And trade labor, seeds, skill, time. We covered a little bit of that in the beginning of the program. Anything you want to add, son?
Yeah, again, with your guys' garden, especially if you guys are new to gardening, just remember to start slow and start small. Start small first and then slowly increase. The hardest part of gardening isn't starting the garden. It's not planting the garden. It's not maintaining the garden. The hardest part of gardening is putting it all away before it goes bad.
Yep.
So that's what you should judge how big your garden should be. And like that should be the barometer of how big your garden should be, is how quickly can I get this stuff used, or am I able to use all of this stuff before it goes bad? And even with like that changes a little bit if you're going the market garden route, if you're like selling stuff and whatnot. But even then, the barometer should be, can I harvest what needs to be harvested before it goes bad? So there's a lot of people that I do consultations for that may or may not have like limited gardening experience, and they're like, yeah, I want the acre garden right here. And that's also the system on your property that's going to take up the most amount of time. If you look at your garden versus an orchard versus a food forest versus your animal systems, the thing that's going to take up the most of your time is going to be the thing that produces the least amount of calories, and that's your garden. So yeah, judge it based off of, am I able to put everything away without it going bad, or before it goes bad?
And folks, you got to remember, when you grow, for example, let's just say peppers. Let's say you grow some bell peppers out there. The ones you get in the store and the ones you grow in your garden are 2 very different items. The ones you pull out of your garden, you may get a week on those if you're lucky. The ones they have in that store, they don't grow them for flavor. They don't grow them for anything other than appearance and shippability and longevity on the shelf. That's about it. That is it. They don't grow anything for flavor, but we do here at home, and so do you. So that's what he's talking about. When you get these harvests, man, don't assume it's going to be that bell pepper from the store that you get 2 weeks on unnaturally because they sprayed a peel on it. No, you're going to have to do something pretty darn quick with it. And that's why I'm a big fan. I wasn't going to go into this, but that's why I'm a really big fan of having multiple ways in which to put back this food. Okay, you can can it. That's one way. One thing I've gotten into really big as of late is fermentation. You can ferment some of this stuff, which is fantastic for your gut. You can freeze dry it. Not everybody has a freeze dryer, though. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go about it, but you better be Johnny on the spot when that crop comes through, because you don't have, unless it's a storage crop like one of the ones I was talking about, like the potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, and things like that. If it's something that you don't use immediately, you better have a plan, and you better be rocking and rolling, because you're going to have a lot of dead stuff out there if you don't get after it. All right, y'all. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Like William said, son, one more time, you want to tell them where they can find us after today?
Yeah, so we won't be consistently streaming to the Permaculture Consultant channel or Permapastures Farm channel, just because of the nature of what we talk about sometimes. And this podcast has been classified as a threat to to society. So if you want to check us out consistently every Monday and Thursday, 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, go ahead and subscribe to the Permaculture Pimpcast channel. It's the name of this podcast. So yeah, there's that.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming in today. Hey, remember, don't forget, we got that Sovereign Health Summit that's going to be coming up in October. Folks, I'm telling you, I am going full steam ahead on this health thing, because every single day they are trying to, they're trying to limit the amount of time that all of us are spending on this earth, and I'm trying not to let them do it. And I'm trying to teach as many people out there with the best experts in the world. Like I said, we got Barbara O'Neill coming in. If you can't be there live, if you can't be there in person, we do have online options, so you can have the best seat in the house from home. So how about that? All right, so go check that out, and check out William's channel. Son, tell them where to find you, and if they want a consultation or anything.
Yeah, the Permaculture Consultant is where you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, whatever it may be. And if you want a consultation, then linked under every video that I do is my email. Just shoot me an email saying, hey, I'm interested in a consultation. Tell me your acreage, tell me where you live, things like that. And recently I was asked, like, hey, do you travel to Florida? There's not really a place I won't travel to do a consultation. If at all possible, I'll drive. I will only fly if it's like the only other option. Like if it's across an ocean, I'll fly. But other than that, I'm driving. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I don't want to get Kentucky Fried over there in the airport. Yeah, hey, thanks for the $20, FiberNet.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, if you break bread, we won't fake dead. All right, y'all. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Look, if we have another podcast that isn't going to be incendiary, maybe we'll come back here on these other channels. But until then, stay alert.
Stay alive.
Wisdom from soul. Permaculture dream. Let the ideas unfold. I'm moving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. Who's got the answers? All we need to do. Listen to the earth, they got us through. Let's see the change. Watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive.